All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Sports Affiliation Betting Collab Show. I am SoCal Ball Nerd. We are in the Final Four. Started with Selection Sunday from 68 down to 4 teams. We got a couple matchups to talk today as we get ready for National Championship on Monday night. As always, joining me, none other than at IDP Iggy. What is going on, my man?
Hey, what's up, man? Glad to be back. Glad to talk some basketball. I mean, watched a little bit of college basketball last night. Iowa versus UConn. At UConn again tonight. Very interesting to see how that goes. And I also watched a little bit of the NIT. But, March Madness to me is the Final Four is what's going on tonight. And I'm very stoked to watch it.
Yeah, man, Larry Nerd over there couldn't quite get the job done to finish it off, but quite a run for Indiana State. You know, we mentioned them in the beginning, right, when we talked about Virginia. Would have been nice to maybe see them in the tourney, but, hey, good run, some recognition, always cool for a school like that. Let me ask you real quick. I think I know the answer, I believe, as someone who knows his basketball. Iowa UConn last night, that last play of the game. Give me your take on that play and break it down a little for me.
Yeah, I guess just watching at my house, watching that, and then going to the Milwaukee Suns game, I didn't think nothing of it. And then waking up this morning and seeing it, flooding my timeline. I'm like, yeah, that's a foul. That looks like a left tackle, taking a sidestep to block a defensive end. And that's just illegal in basketball. You got to stand there like a statue if you're going to try to set a screen. Maybe your elbows can go out. That's about it. You can't take a full-on step, then throw the elbow. That was a foul. Hate to see it. I hate to see it in the last seconds of the game, but, it's the rules are there not to be like, well, here's an exception. The rules are the rules, and the third team out there is there to enforce the rules. So, I don't think it's okay.
Yeah, I think I look for every reason to say why the ref, should swallow the whistle, right? And you just can't there. Like the player, she gave way too much, right? Like you said, the full step, the full lean. Like you as a player, I as a player on the court, just can't make that obvious of a play. Like you can't put the ref in that position. I don't blame the ref. That's a tough call to make, but it's just too egregious, man. And bad basketball by UConn. That's a bad screen to do that. And it's unfortunate. We didn't get a chance to see a possible, game winner. It kind of killed but a bad basketball play. Sorry for those that don't like the call. I don't like the ending, but that was a bad basketball play by the woman on UConn, and Caitlin Clark rolls on. Didn't play her greatest game, and we get NC State again tonight too. Both in the Final Four. South Carolina, to talk about the women's real quick, they're the UConn men of that women's tournament, man. South Carolina looks to be very, very dominant. 19-point victory in the Final Four. So.
Most of it in the third quarter. I think it was a 1-point game at halftime. I was watching that game as well. And then third quarter, they just, pedal to the metal, baby, forget about it. And that was it. That was murder, she wrote. So, we got the two of the best teams. I think it'll be good for everybody involved. I think, like they said, the tickets are double the price, I believe, for the women's Final Four than the men's. That for whatever that's worth. But I think it's going to be good to see Caitlin Clark, her last game, win, lose, or draw. I guess there's no draw, actually. Will be right there in the championship game. And in South Carolina, incredible lost one game in the past 2 years in the championship last year, right? So I'm not going to sit here and claim to know the most about college NCAA, but I do, we all pay attention more, right, to the championship, no matter what the sport is. Super Bowl, NBA Finals, Stanley Cup Finals, and, NCAA men's and women's basketball as well. So I think it'll be fortunate, Seton Hall came in as underdogs in the championship game and was able to win. I think it's going to be really tough for Iowa to come out and beat South Carolina in this match. But, it can happen.
hey, you got the best player on the team on the court on your team. I think that helps. But yeah, this is sledding against the South Carolina team that is seems to be kind of the dominant team of women's basketball right now. But should be a heck of a game. Ratings have been good for the women. Love to see it. I think obviously with Caitlin Clark there, we'll get to see that again on Sunday night. So championship for the women Sunday, championship on Monday night for the men. But before we get to Monday night, we do have 2 games. I know maybe people think they won't be as great as we would like, but hey, we have been surprised all tournament long. We talked about 13 straight years of 4 seed or worse making the Final Four. Well, check it out. It's the 14th year in a row, and it's not just 1, it's 2. We got a 4 seed Bama, and we got an 11 seed NC State, so half the field is a 4 seed or worse. It's just, like we said, who do you pick? And I, like you, Iggy, did not have either of these 2 teams in Alabama or NC State, but here they are. You've heard me talk about Bama. I'm not an Alabama fan. All respect to be here in the Final Four. Now they get UConn. It's an 11.5-point spread for the UConn Huskies. Does Alabama have a chance in this game? What do they have to do to have a chance in this game? What do you got for me, Alabama, UConn?
Yeah. Well, you know what, man? Yeah, they haven't played the greatest defense, but they've played when they needed to. And I've got my notes here. Mark Sears, 23 points in the last game. I mean, if he does that again, that's going to be a problem. That's just the simple facts of it. Nick Pringle, if he steps it up with the double-double, another 16, 11 rebounds or, 14, 12 rebounds, it's going to be a problem. I think UConn is going to have their toughest test of the tournament right now. I think that this is going to be the hardest team they've played thus far in the tournament, or the most difficult, the most well-coached team, the most well-balanced team. And I actually like Alabama to cover the spread here, even though UConn's what is it now? 10 games over 13 points in a row in the tournament. I mean, that's just utter domination. That's like Kobe and Shaq the year they only lost 1 game to Allen Iverson because in their playoff run because Allen Iverson wanted to play 1 good quarter.
He went crazy. He went crazy and got a W. Yeah. That was it.
Yeah, man. He was like, "I'm going to get us 1," and I don't know. I don't know how that happens with UConn, but I do think Alabama. I mean, 11.5 points. You're giving me that in the Final Four against a team that earned its way to the Final Four. They had to come back from behind some games. They played really great offense. So I think that'll be amazing to watch. Hey, Wendy, sorry, too, just now getting back over here to the comments. And then it says UConn and Purdue in the final with UConn to win. Okay, I love it. 3 of your 4 alive. Way to go, Wendy.
You know what? Wendy took Alabama. She sent me her bracket early in, and she had Bama. And I even told her, I was like, man, I don't like the Bama pick. But, hey, Wendy, props to you. I was clearly wrong. So glad you didn't take him in this one, though, because it's not a question to me about UConn winning this game. It's about by how much. I like the dogs. 11.5 is a lot, Iggy, but here's my concern, man. Alabama likes to shoot the 3 ball. UConn holds teams to 30%. I mean, this is a team that does both things at the top of both sides, right? They're the number 1 efficient offense. They're top 5 in defense. Alabama likes to shoot the 3. They like to attack the rim. You know what else UConn does besides hold teams to 30%? They're the number 1 defense at the rim. I don't know, even if Bama gets hot, right? Like I'm looking at probably 43-point attempts. And even if they hit 15, do they score enough in the paint? And on the defensive side, North Carolina shot 25% in the second half. They still scored 87 points. UConn offense is so good. They've scored against every team they've played. They've played one of the toughest schedules in the country. I think in a world right now where we see so much parity and we love it, it's hard, at least for me, to be like, wow, there is a dominant team, and they are that dominant because we just don't see it, right? We kind of see it with the Chiefs, but, we don't see it a lot. We see so much parity that it's hard, but this UConn team is just built different, man, and they've been tested. And if those things do happen for Alabama and you expect UConn to not score the basketball, they were 3 of 22 from behind the arc against Northwestern, 3 of 17 against Illinois. They went on a 30-0 run against Illinois without even shooting the ball well. This offense hasn't even peaked. I don't know, man. If I'm looking at
That's
Bama,
scary.
maybe it's hard for me to stay away from those numbers, especially when a Bama team, they rank 105th in defensive efficiency. We don't see teams like that make deep tournament runs. I don't know how this team has gotten this far. Mad respect to Nate Oates and that club. I'm not taking away from him, but I still don't get it. UConn and Danny Hurley, man, will not let this team let up. If Bama comes out hot, if UConn comes out hold, maybe Bama keeps it close. You mentioned the women last night of NC State being down 1. Even if it's something like that, UConn comes out, UConn rolls. I'm taking the 11.5, man. I just can't go against UConn. I hate those numbers, but give me UConn to roll, man. I just can't go against it, man. And,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not predicting Alabama to win, but 11.5 points, I don't know. I feel like this could be their first win under 10 points in quite some time, because I don't know what, the SEC showed out pretty well for certain teams didn't dominate like we thought they were, but I mean, they're still an SEC team in the Final Four. It's one of the best offensive teams in the country. So if they just get streaky at, the right time in the second half, then I think there's potential there for, them to keep it within 10 points. So 11.5, you're giving me 2 more points. So we'll see.
I like it, man. I mean, again, they can get hot. Getting hot, I just don't know if it's enough to even stay close with this team. UConn's been that good, but it's hard, man. UConn could go cold. You factor in they're playing in the big stadium. UConn played there last year. I don't know how much that carries over. It's harder to shoot in those big arenas, right? So hopefully Bama got their shots in. They're feeling comfortable with, that range, right? It looks different behind the basket. It's a different animal there, right? What is it, a 70,000 seat, arena? I don't know if I'd go sit in the top of those bleachers and watch a game, Iggy. I think I'd rather enjoy it on my TV, as cool as the experience would be. I don't think you can see from 5 miles away.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. I set up pretty high in the at the Nuggets game, but it's an arena, so it's like still a great seat,
Oh yeah,
like you can see, and we were in the second row actually of the top section, so I could see really well. But I don't know. Greg's an expert on that opinion. He was at it last year, pretty much at the same scenario. So I will have to get him on. He's a Final Four expert. I do want to give a shout out to Better Vision while we got a second. Make sure you go download it if you have an Android phone. Just go get it if you have an iPhone, you can get it. And you can put your bets and your fantasy teams from Sleeper, My Fantasy League, ESPN, NFL Network, all right there. Look at it all at one spot. So make sure you go download the app. It's free. You get to use it. You get to be a little more organized. Why not? Yeah, dude. I mean, let's just look at it. I was going to put you on the spot real quick. Try to pull up the line. I don't know for sure what it is. Do you have it up? I'm logging in right now. If you don't, no worries.
Purdue on the Purdue game?
Yeah. Well, no, I was just going to look at the over-under real quick on this.
I think it was 161, I believe. So while you're looking at that, so Iggy's going Bama with the points. That's plus 11.5. I'm going to take the favorites, and I'm going to go for covering 11.5. But we do both like UConn to advance to the title game. So let us know if you are taking the points or if you're trusting in UConn to just be dominant. Definitely. Yeah, man. Better Vision is a great app. It's nice and organized. Makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, so we're on opposite ends there. It is. It's 116.5. Negative 750 on the money line. Pretty heavy favorites. If you think Alabama's got a chance, you can try that 525. 5 squared is 25. Maybe there's some math to be found there. But yeah, I mean, I think that's wrapping it up. Everything I want to say about UConn. I mean, great players. It's going to be hard to stop Donovan, man. If he's on, Pringle's going to have to do a lot to stop him. They're going to have to game plan a lot to stop him. But if he's on, I think it's going to be real difficult because that means that he's making very high percentage field goal attempts. He's controlling the rim on both sides. And you're just going to, it's just going to be difficult to see how that happens. But yeah, man, moving it on over, let's get to the story. I think the true Cinderella, no doubt, right? North Carolina State. You could say we have two, no doubt. But NC State, what a time to be on their campus with both of their, programs reaching the Final Four, as underdogs. And, I bet that was a cool time to be at NC State, be a part of that atmosphere. And they still got one team left. And you know what? They're only 9.5-point underdogs going into this game. 9.5 points on the spread. For Purdue to cover, that's at even odds, though. So if you think Purdue can cover, it's at plus 100. NC State negative 120. 145.5 on the over-under, negative 450 for Purdue, plus 350 for NC State. Man, what are your initial thoughts on this game?
I mean, initially, I think it's hard to go against Purdue not to win this game. I mean, anytime you see a double-digit spread, pretty much, there's a reason, right? One team is considered a lot better than the other. Season-long resume, Purdue has it. They've been one of the best teams. We talked about this. Zach Edey is phenomenal. I don't want to get into the fouls too much. I get it. They're favoring him, but it is what it is, man. Hopefully that doesn't happen in this game. Hopefully, DJ Burns and Dahara get a chance to be physical, make an impact, just make it a better basketball game. And I think they're able to do that. Filipowski on Duke is not Zach Edey, but he is a big 7-footer. So they did have a little bit of a pre-game warm-up to a Zach Edey, at least size-wise, right? I mean, he's possibly the player of the year, so we're talking a different beast. He's going to get his, man. This is a Purdue team that shoots 40% from behind the arc, and that's what they're going to have to do in this game. I think NC State has done a phenomenal job holding their opponents, to shoot 22%, 25%. Can they do that today against Purdue? Because Edey's going to get his. I mean, he had 16 rebounds against the fifth best rebounding team in the country. He might get 25 rebounds in this game, right? Like, I don't think you're going to contain him on the glass. DJ Burns is a stud. My guy, baby Zach Randolph. He ain't a rebounder, though. He doesn't rebound the ball. Like, that's not his strength.
Or play great defense.
Yeah, so it's and then he's going to have Edey on him. So I think he's going to have to facilitate. Horn's going to have to play well. I think these NC State guards are quick. Maybe they can come out and be a little too quick. That's your success in March. Quick guards are tough. Can they be quick enough to beat Purdue's guards? That's what's going to keep them in this game. But I do see, man, just the role they're on. They've established just a good game plan, and they've been a second-half team. They've played better in the second half. They've made the best adjustments probably all tournament long. So I am taking the dog to cover. I'm taking the 9.5 in this one. I just can't see a double-digit win. It's a good question, Wendy. I think people like to hate the best players, man. I mean, he is the player of the year. He did come back. He did choke last year. He's kind of the villain, right? So, but he's a heck of a college basketball player. I don't think anything can be taken away from Zach Edey. But yeah, give me NC State in the points. I think they do enough. Just think Purdue finds a way, man. I think the path has been set for them. We saw Virginia get upset the 1 year by 16, then go all the way to the championship. We're seeing it again here with Purdue. I will say, man, this is what I love about basketball and what I love about March is in the ACC tournament, NC State hit an insane three-pointer. I don't know if you saw this against Virginia to send that game into overtime off the backboard like 40 feet away. If that shot doesn't go in, this team's not even in the tournament. And here they are on the doorstep of a national championship game, bro.
So what is it, like 64, 32, 16, 8? Yeah, they've won 10 in a row to get here, right? I mean, they had to win all 10 of those games to get here, which is an impressive run all in itself. And, yeah, I think, Wendy, to answer your question, yeah, they're hard on him because he's the best. And there's just high expectations, and you disappoint people's high expectations once. It's really easy to bash on them. We could look at several quarterbacks. Tony Romo's the first one that comes to my mind, Great quarterback, but, just didn't meet the high expectations, So he's got a chance to dismiss that. I said one thing. I think his draft stock might have rose. People were talking about him being like a mid to late round second second round pick for the NBA. And if people aren't familiar, the NBA only has 2 rounds. Okay, that's it. And most of the time, if you're a second round pick, that means you're not going to get much playing time. That's why Jokic is considered the best steal of all time, because he was in the late second round, and he's gone on to do a lot of things. And I think if Iggy goes to the right team where he's not expected to come in and contribute right away, and he has time to learn behind a good center, whether that's Joel Embiid or I would even say Yusuf Nurkic, somebody that's got like his big body set, Nikola Jokic, Andre Drummond, any of those guys that kind of have his skill set, and he's not going to be coming in and playing, asked to play 30 plus minutes right off the bat, or, be on a bad team and help it to improve. I think he's got great potential to be good in the NBA. As far as this game goes, I mean, NC State they have a lot going for them, but it's difficult to take Purdue. I probably watched Purdue more than any other team throughout this tournament. And it's like they're hanging with you, you're hanging with them. Then all of a sudden there's a 14-point run. And then they and it levels out a little bit to like 6-5. And there's another 12-point run. And it's just like Purdue just lulls you to sleep. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, you're down 18, 19 points. And it's 10 minutes or less in the second half. It just kind of feels like that's the rhythm I've caught from them playing against good teams. And NC State's a good team, tough conference. Like I said, won 10 games in a row. A lot of confidence in that locker room, I believe, and what they've done. But I just think they're running into a good coach, good player combo, and I don't know that they're going to have an answer. Or they're probably going to foul him a lot, be in foul trouble, even if it is a close game. Purdue can come away and kind of, take over that storm, because I don't have the Purdue guards name on top of my hand. But when they start playing well with their 2 game as well, and dishing and giving and going with Iggy in and out, that's a pretty lethal game.
Yeah, when you shoot 40%, lead the nation, I believe, in 3-point field goal percentage, and you've got a guy down low that demands that kind of attention. If you're hitting your shots, it's going to be tough, right? And yeah, it's hard to sustain holding teams to 22%, 25% from behind the arc. And oh wow, so there should be some excitement there for you, Wendy. I mean, an hour from Purdue, things should be amped up over there this Saturday, right? I mean, Matt Painter, 19 seasons, I think, at Purdue. Yeah. I mean, and finally has got his team to the Final Four. Shout out to him, man. One of those coaches, again, when disappointments are high. It was going to be him or Rick Barnes. Somebody had to shatter the bad coaching curse because they were playing each other. So, which was nice to see, because you knew one guy was going to get some praise, but on Rick Barnes, I mean, you're not a college basketball coach year after year taking teams to the tournament if you don't know what you're doing. But winning is hard. Winning is very, very hard. One team comes away with it. And, props to Matt Painter. And now that's kind of off his back. And he's got, what you would say is a favorable matchup. Nothing's easy, but 9.5-point favorites, you're expected to win. I don't think that pressure is on him, though. I just think that they come out and play their game. And again, we talked about, kind of UConn going cold. If Purdue doesn't knock down those shots, if NC State can keep them at that 30% mark and they can find a way to get in there and score, then I think they can ugly this up a bit. And I don't expect Purdue to just go crazy. I think NC State will play pretty good defense, and I just think they can keep it close. So are you on NC State to cover this one as well, or are you taking the favorite on this side?
You know me, I've been too parlay crazy. I'm on parlaying both of these. I had the odds pulled up. Let me go back to it real quick. NC State, Alabama to cover. It's at plus 250. So not super high odds, but 11.5 in one game, 9.5 in the other. Final Four. Don't get blown out. Don't get blown out. Have pride. I know. Play through it. You're playing the 2 best teams that entered the conference. Let's just be honest. That's what it is. But you can't get blown out. I mean, I've seen blowouts. We saw a blowout in the championship last year, unfortunately, much to Evan and I's disapproval.
And I don't know, man, if and we might see it again, man. I mean, we'll see if UConn, you got to go out there and play, man. I don't think you can't get blown out, but I am predicting one blowout in these two games today. So we'll see. I will say I do like Edie's rebounds too, man. If anybody I know you can't do your props over there, Iggy, but Edie over 13.5. I think no matter how that game goes, he's going to get a ton of rebounds. Mentioned he just had 16 against Tennessee, who's a phenomenal rebounding team. And if you want one on the other side, I'll stay on the boards. I like Stephon Castle of UConn over 4.5. He's been all over the boards. I think he's found his role on this team. And so Stephon Castle over 4.5 rebounds for UConn. Edie over 13.5 for Purdue. I know you love those rebounding props, Iggy. Thank you, Wendy. Appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, Wendy really was awesome. Yeah, I love rebounding props. I would take Edie to do that. I don't think, like I said, the dude just doesn't play. He's lovable, and everybody's loving him, and he's amazing. He's got great vision, but, I mean, I've seen him out there on the court. He's barely staying in the post position and barely moving his feet. I mean, it ain't going to work against one of the best centers of this decade for college basketball. I'll go ahead and say that. But, yeah, great show. We're going to be back again Monday morning. We're going to try to do that, I believe, 9 a.m. Pacific time, correct?
Yep, 9 a.m. Pacific time to who knows? We've had some predictions go the other way. Maybe we'll be talking Alabama, NC State. It sounds very weird. I don't think that's going to happen, but, that's why we played the game. Hopefully we get 2 great college basketball games, man, and, give the people some good basketball on a Saturday and see what happens.
Yeah, maybe we can get some first quarter props in too. Wendy, thanks again. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. The women, we got Iowa, a Midwest team with the best player in women's basketball at college on the team that's an underdog against the East Coast powerhouse. I'm calling South Carolina East Coast because we're over here on the west side of the country. Might be the South to a lot of people, but it's East. It's no doubt East.
Very East.
Myrtle Beach touches the Atlantic Ocean, so that's as east as it can get, right? And then you've also got, Purdue, a Midwest university with the best player in men's college basketball against the East Coast powerhouse. It's going to be interesting. I don't see how the East Coast teams possibly lose, but I bet we can find some good angles tomorrow. Monday, looking at first quarter props. Maybe you can get some player props. And maybe it'll get juiced pretty high. We'll have to take a look. But I do want to say thanks for joining. We are going to get back to it. Remember, the Game Changers is now on Wednesday night. I don't want to tell you the wrong time. I know the time has changed. I think it's 8 o'clock Central, but I don't know if they changed that or not. Game Changers is on at 7 o'clock Eastern, Thursday Checkdown is on Thursdays at 7 o'clock Eastern. We're going to look to be putting together something for the NBA playoffs as well. So roll right into the NBA finals. The NBA's, we're down to, can you believe it, 9 days. 9 days, including today, for the NBA. Unreal. But we're going to get you through NCAA first, and then we'll be rolling in thinking about NBA, talk about hedging, talk about wild playoffs in the West. Is it going to be as expected in the East? We shall see how that unfolds. But until then, as always, remember, bet smart, be lucky. Please click like and subscribe, and we'll be here again Monday. Come join us, guys. Peace.